Okay, this is Mr. Ellis. We're going to talk about evolution. Everybody's favorite thing, right? Well, first off, evolution is the process by which species of animals have changed over long periods of time. Now, I know a lot of people, some people don't believe in this, some people do. I mean, I will tell you that evolution does not tell you how things were created. Okay, so people use the argument that evolution goes against God creating the world. That is not true. Okay, evolution just shows a gradual change over time, how things have changed. And we all know all organisms change. Okay, homologous structures. Okay, these are body parts that different organisms have that usually have a similar structure, but they don't always have the same function. For example, a bird's wings, a human's arms, and a whale's fins. They're kind of built the same way, the same kind of bones that in our arms will be in a bird's wing and a whale's fin. However, a bird, they use theirs for flight, a human uses theirs for grabbing stuff, and of course a whale uses theirs for swimming. Okay, now the key word, I got it started right here. Common ancestors, the key phrase. If you see that as an answer choice on the EOG test or any questions, common ancestors, choose that because that's going to be the right answer. Common ancestors. Because if they have homologous, they have common ancestors. Now, analogous is a little bit different. They don't have common ancestors. This is when the body parts have a similar function. It's kind of opposite of homologous. They have a similar function, but not a similar structure. And the best example that they like to always give in questions is bird wings and butterfly wings. Because a bird wing and butterfly wings, they make the bird and the butterfly fly. But as good as I know, that a bird's wings are made out of bones and feathers, and a butterfly's wings is made out of, I don't even know what it's made out of. It's just gonna fall apart when you touch it. So that's what an analogous. You got no difference between analogous and homologous. Now the next structure is called vestigial structures. Now these are body parts that don't seem to play a role for that organism. Now the one that we have, that a lot of people, is an appendix. We have an appendix, and the only time you know you got an appendix is when it ruptures and you got to go get it taken out. You might have some family members, or you might have had your appendix taken out, but it has no function in our body at all. What a lot of scientists think is that the appendix is similar to a bird's gizzard. I love eating some fried chicken gizzards. That's one of my favorite things to eat. Now, you know what gizzards are for in a bird? Anybody know? Well, I guess y'all probably don't know. But a bird, a lot of times you see chickens, they peck the ground for food. Okay, a lot of birds peck the ground for food. But when they're pecking the ground, they pick up a lot of rocks and stuff. So they have that gizzard, and what that gizzard does is it kind of grinds up those rocks so that the bird can digest its food. Okay, and so a lot of scientists think that our caveman ancestors, even though they probably picked stuff off of the ground that probably had rocks and stuff in it, and they ate it, and that's why we had appendix. Again, that's just a theory that some scientists have. Also, whales. Whales actually have foot and leg bones, and I'm going to show you a picture right here. See that whale? If you look in a whale, they're actually going to have where what they call a vestigial structure of whales, and whales having leg bones and feet bones. And this kind of tells you that at one time their ancestors possibly walked on land. Okay, so they had back feet. That is a type of vestigial structure. Okay, let's go back over this. Okay, our next word, an embryo. I know that's what you are when you're born inside your mama's belly, inside your not mama's belly, but your mama's uterus. Okay, it's the early stage of development of an organism before it's actually born. Now, embryology is the study of that, and what scientists have found is that the embryos of many organisms look very similar. And again, I'm going to show you a picture. Now, it's kind of hard to see a little bit right here, but if you notice the top row, they all look very, very similar. The first one's a fish. You got a salamander, a tortoise, which is a turtle, a chicken, a pig, a cow, a rabbit, and a human. Look how we all look the same. And as we develop, we get a little bit different. And by here at the bottom, you can actually tell what's what. Okay, so that's why they sometimes say we have common ancestors, because of our embryos looking the same, looking very similar. This freaks a lot of people out right here. Okay. And the next thing, we're talking about taxonomy. Now, ain't got nothing to do with taxes, doing your taxes, and paying your taxes. But taxonomy is the study of classifying animals and organisms based on their body structures. We're all mammals. You got reptiles, you got birds, you got fish, there's different types of classifications. Now, it was invented by this type of naming system that we use is called binomial nomenclature because it uses two names. And it was invented by a guy named Carlos Linnaeus. Um, he came up with a genus species name. But for instance, now you've all heard of that a canine is a dog. Well, that's one of its classification names. A feline is a cat. So you have genus and species. So we're Homo sapiens. Okay, and you can see all this little right here. This is actually what we are. Our domain is eukarya. Our kingdom is animal because we're in the animal kingdom because we're all animals. Some of y'all more than others. Phylum, and we're vertebrates. That means we have backbones. We have bone around our spinal cord. Class, we're mammals. What makes us mammals is that we have hair. We're warm-blooded. Our females produce milk for the newborns. We are primates. Primates mean that we have opposable thumbs. We can actually grab and hold on things and use tools. Hominid means you walk upright. Okay, we're hominids because we walk upright. That's our family name. And of course, Homo sapien. You know, there have been multiple species of humans on the planet. Of course, right now, as far as we know, we are the only species that is alive right now. The rest of them went extinct. And it's possibly because we were able to adapt and survive. Okay, now listen to the word archaea. You might see this on something. Archaea kind of reminds me of the word archaic. Archaic, and that means a long, long time ago, right? Well, that's what we call the bacteria. And we've talked about bacteria when we talk about diseases. We talked about bacteria when we talk about nitrogen fixation, and we talked about bacteria pretty much everywhere. You know, bacteria was like one of the first things on the planet, okay, because they're the most simple. They're all one cellular. A lot of times they live in extreme environments. Sometimes they don't always do because, you know, we get strep throat and we get all kind of bacterial infections all the time. So that's what that is. And then the opposite of, you might also hear it called prokaryote instead of archaea. But the opposite would be a eukarya or eukaryote. This is the domain of multiple cell organisms that have an organized nucleus. Now, what that means is our cells in our body, and you probably talked about this in 7th grade, our cells actually have a cell membrane or a nuclear membrane around the DNA. Our DNA is in the nucleus of our atoms, and it's surrounded by a membrane. But however, bacteria, they don't have a nuclear membrane. Their DNA is just floating there all over going around all over the cell, okay? So they don't have it in one centralized location like we do. Now, pretty much everything on Earth, except the bacteria, have nuclear membranes. So that's what makes the difference between eukaryote and prokaryote. So that's all of that right there. And I thank y'all for listening. Y'all watch these video clips. I'm going to put some video clips on here later on so that y'all can actually see. Here we go. Let's stop.